I really don't know why Fridays are so goddamn boring, but there's something about them. It's not even like the office is emptier. It's just everyone's just like down, you know? Everyone is just like in that mood where they just can't be arsed. I've been having computer issues recently. Literally just yesterday they started, but it consistently, repeatedly just restarts at random. We think that the problem is Google Chrome related, but today it was fine to start with. IT looked after it overnight or something, did something, and it was fine until about midday, where all of a sudden it was just restarting, just literally at random. I wasn't doing anything weird. I was literally just typing code and then just boom. So that was fun. But I was writing myself, familiarising myself with testing in Cold Fusion. It basically feels like C# version 2. But we're there with no type safety or anything like that. Yeah, YOLO. I came down to sort out dinner, which I think is frozen. So I need to start. We've got our Vindaloo thing that we did the other week, a while ago. About, well, it wasn't Vindaloo, was it? It was Vinda Madras. Vindras Madraloo. And the thing is, I didn't think it started recording then. And the thing is, I always forget how many people it serves. It doesn't say how many people it serves. And I now can't remember, and I think this is the reason why Laura hasn't already got it out of the freezer, whether or not we think it serves two, whether or not one of these tubs serves two, or... Oh, I've got to make a call, man. No one wants to eat 4 people's worth of curry between themselves, do they? So I'm thinking, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put one of these back. That's my gut call at this precise moment in time. It's half empty, so every time you open... Also, that's the kind of thing that this microphone's not very good at, because the microphones are side mounted. You can hear that really well, because it's literally pointing at your ear, basically. Yeah, so we are going to have... I'm going to risk it for biscuit. I'm going to have one. I think we decided it served 6. It's going to take an absolute decade to defrost. So start it early then, boys. Defrost for 10 minutes, please. Fuck me dead. At least 10 minutes. Where's the lid gone? Otherwise though, today, apart from that, and apart from continuing to try and figure out why my computer keeps breaking on me, we were making sure that we're ready. The tester that I sit next to, my busy mate, is going on holiday next week. So, and we've just got a new tester, just started, who's going to be covering her on our team. But it's, obviously she started 3 days ago. So I am going to be covering a bit. So we're kind of trying to make sure that we're at a handing off point between the two of us. So we know what we're doing. We've got to know what's figuring it out, you know. And then blasted on home, just, well, sorted out a video, the previous video to this, and now waiting for Laura to come home. Quite possibly cooking way too much curry. We have a fun weekend of jobs and stuff to do this weekend as we get ready for stuff. I'm super busy, but I'm thinking I'm going to try and play a bit of Xbox with the boys tonight, just to like try and reset my brain. What I've been thinking about today is how I'm going to do the next bit, like architecturally. Like conceptually I can put together like this needs to do this, needs to do this, but I need to figure out what technologies I'm going to use in order to do all that kind of stuff. Because I effectively need to kick off a Docker container which is going to have to pump out data. If it shuts down, I'm going to need to know about it. And if it doesn't, and I don't need to, and I need to do this at runtime by the application entirely unmanually manipulated. And I'm like, so I need a container registry. I need some kind of way of running Docker instances. I'm thinking Docker because of the speed at which it takes to spin up. So I'm thinking container instances in Azure. They're completely isolated as well, so I don't need anything over that. Then I need to dive data into them, so I'm assuming put messages on a queue so that they can then pick out the message with all of the information, or I could pre-build the container with the information in it. Don't know yet, haven't figured that one out. I'm thinking the message though. It then needs to run, it needs to dive data out of it, which I assume is going to have to go via some kind of either signal or some kind of event grid. into another application which is going to be listening to what's happening, relaying some of that information to the user, but otherwise analysing that information itself. There's like a lot going on there, you know? And like my initial basic architecture drawings are super basic. Super basic. Yeah, so it's gonna be fun, man. The problem is with a lot of those technologies, I've never interfaced with them before. So I know roughly what they do, but I don't know what they're good at, if you know what I mean. So I could use SignalR, but is that what it's good for? It's the next day now. We had dinner yesterday. I actually took the evening off mostly to play Xbox with the lads and like kind of like de-stress down for the weekend. This weekend we've been shopping, so we've been picking up stuff. I got some shoes, £6. Some shoes, my boys. I nearly bought some shoes that basically look the exact same for £30, but they didn't have my size. Went into the next shop along, bang, there they are, and a fraction of the cost. Living the goddamn dream. And then otherwise we just got some like standard stuff, went out for lunch. And now we're back. Laura's downstairs, falling asleep, watching a film. And I have come upstairs to finish off the first draft, at the very least, of my slide deck. That's my plan. I'm just going to update my company finances as well, because I've just got another invoice. But otherwise, it's a bit of a quiet weekend. We're just kind of chilling around at home, just lounging about the place, living the dream, you know. To be honest, writing an architecture diagram for what my platform already does is already quite complicated. I'm figuring out kind of like what I need to do for the next bit. I'm partially getting ahead of myself because a lot of it is just still letting the user configure what needs to happen. But I need to know it. I think I need a couple more functions rolling around. Definitely a couple more service bus messages, but I need to spin up this new microservice. I think that's where the grunt of the work is gonna be. It's fun stuff, man. It's fun stuff, but it's really daunting. It's really daunting, especially starting a new microservice, because it takes a long time just to spin one up, and it's so like labour-inducive, you know, just to spin up a microservice. But that's next on my list of things to do. I've got my first draft of my slide deck sorted. So now I'm literally just trying to, what's going on there? Just trying to figure out what my focus should be on different platforms. I think I'm going to start the new microservice on my laptop, on my desktop, and then start my other stuff on the laptop. That's my plan of attack, I think. But yeah. I think I might. Oh god, there's so much to do, man. I don't have that much like time, effectively. I always complain about this vlog should just be renamed to like Jimmy complains about time all the time. It's bedtime here, and we've just finished watching the latest series of Black Mirror, and it was good. It was all right, and I'm not sure whether or not this is like indicative of what the other series were like compared to this series. But like, I watched Black Mirror to feel crushed, to feel like I wish I'd never watched it, you know, because it just like takes your little heart and stamps on it. And there was at least 2 episodes which were happy endings, and out of 3 episodes, 2 out of 3 were happy endings. That's like a world record. That is like, I think before this series there was probably 1 or 2 in total that had happy endings. And I mean, even the one that didn't have a happy ending wasn't that bad of an ending. It was like neutral to good, you know? Whereas normally it's just like shit. I mean, they tackled interesting concepts, which is what Black Mirror is all about. But I don't know, man. I like a bit of like fucking tragedy, you know, in my life. I need my fix of that. I might have to rewatch some old ones. Today we have an even more exciting video than the last. Laura is downstairs binge listening to Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. Yeah, which she got on an audiobook from the library, and she loses it today, so she's got to listen to the rest of it. Meanwhile, we're doing some washing, done the wash. Currently on wash number 2. We know how to live. And I am upstairs standing up a new microservice. So the next microservice along, I am now going through the process of spinning up the API and putting that behind my security service, and then integrating all that shit together, and then doing the same thing for the consumer. It's a lot of grunt work for like It's not very fun. It's just a lot of like, right, got to go through this, open up my previous microservice, go down the list of things that I've got there, make sure I've got the same things over here, you know. You know what, crew? I've got myself my new microservice. I've got an API. I need to set up the consumer aspect of it. I fixed some issues though. There was an issue I had with some security middleware that I had ages ago, where basically if you were unauthenticated, it would throw 401s. Sorry, it would throw server 500s instead of 401s. Turns out that was to do with an issue with my claims mapping software. I fixed that now. Also, this is the first time I've written a Service Fabric microservice that uses .NET Core. They have always been full fat using .NET Core runtime, if that makes any sense. So they were effectively .NET Core. If you looked at it, it looked .NET Core, but underneath it was 4.7. So that's pretty cool as well. It's quite interesting to see that work, which meant I had to update some of my other Nougat packages to make sure they were .NET standard, because when I first wrote them, .NET Core wasn't a thing for Service Fabric. So I'm like doing a couple of little things as I go around. Obviously, I'm not. The focus isn't do all of this stuff. It's get stuff up and running. But once it's all up and running, we should be laughing, ladies and gentlemen. The aim of the game is to get the microservice up where it basically just starts, but there's nothing to hit. So I've got like a Swagger API, but there's no documentation on it. It's just literally a Swagger page, which tells you information about getting your authentication. It's hidden behind the security service, so you've got to be authenticated to get to it, but there's no mappings for the claims. You've just got to be logged in. And then we'll do the same thing for the consumer, where it's sat listening to the message bus, but there's actually nothing listening to the message bus. That also makes sense to you. And then my plan is to merge it, and then we'll start integrating mainly the consumers together between my other service and this service, because an event gets raised in that I need to listen to, all of this kind of good stuff. There's a lot of grunt work, but I'm going to try and merge as early as I can, because I'm going to try and get out the habit of having to go through huge PRs. But the problem is, if I'm developing a huge user story, or just a user story that covers a lot of stuff, then I don't often have the choice. In other news as well, I've finished my slide deck. I'm going to email that to the person who asked for it tomorrow. I've also got a little NFC tag where I can be like, bloop, there you go. There's my slide deck, which I'm probably never going to use, but you never know. And also, Laura both finished her audiobook and her puzzle today. So we've both had productive days. And we are heading back into the office. Good weekend off, very productive weekend off. But this week I'm not particularly looking forward to. My Bezzy mate, the person I sit next to, is on holiday this week. So now I don't sit next to anyone, so I naturally don't have as much conversation to have with people. But also I'm going to be doing a lot of hand-holding. A new tester started Wednesday last week. So I'm holding their hand, making sure they've got everything they need. And because the person that's left is a tester, I'm going to be doing a lot of testing this week to cover for her, basically. Because inevitably the new person isn't going to be able to just immediately take off on just 3 days notice, you know. So like I'm already not really doing what I'm supposed to be doing. But also, I don't have anyone to talk to. So sad. Well, you could definitely call today a slow day. We had a couple of issues with, in fact, I think we had so many issues with the live deployment, we didn't actually go live in the end. I think they've just decided now not to go live. But we had issues that I was fixing with the project I did when I first got there. There was issues with the project we were trying to go live with very recently, a load of other stuff. So I was dealing with all that. And then on top of that, I think I finished the integration work for the thing I wrote last week. I think I have. It's one of them things where we like started it, we can't really do it until other tickets have gone through the board. And I just picked it up because it's isolated enough for me to fuck about with a load of things I don't understand without impacting anyone else. But then I finished first still. I think I've done it, but I'm not sure, so I'm gonna wait until someone in, the guy who's like the senior in this language, is in to like validate that I've done everything right. But because I'm looking at it, I'm like, I don't think it should be this simple. That's the thing. So, but if there's one thing that this place is really good at, is overcomplicating things for the sake of overcomplicating things, not for any actual gain. And then otherwise, I was just kind of hanging about, you know, doing my own thing, helping the tester who moved to sit next to me once she finally got some tickets to test. But otherwise, yeah, it's just a bit of the same old shit, really. Standard Monday stuff. We're about to go shopping, but I don't think Laura's coming with me because she's got a bit of a headache. She feels a bit ill. Otherwise, let's talk politics, ladies and gentlemen, because I tweeted something today, and I feel like I need to clarify my position on it somewhat. So, politics, always divisive, but let's talk shit. So, Tom Watson today, who is the deputy leader of the Labour Party, has said that they want to come out as a Remain supporting party. I don't think he will, because Jeremy Corbyn blatantly isn't a Remainer. He wants to leave more than anyone. But he says that Labour is a Remain party with Remain candidates and Remain. All the Labour MPs are blatantly Remain. Will block anything that isn't Brexit. Isn't Remain, sorry, blah, blah, blah. But he's basically saying that we should about face now and just be honest and just say that we are this party that we always have been for the past 2 years. They have been the Remain party. They've just been pretending to be Brexit party. Now, so he says this, we should be a full Remain party and go for a second referendum. To which I say, why? Why go for a second referendum? If you want to be a Remain party, then stand to revoke Article 50. Don't bullshit me or the electorate and tell them that you care about democracy and pretend that there's this bullshit democracy thing about if we do another vote and you vote for Brexit again, we'll actually change our minds this time, because you're not going to do it. So be honest about it and say you're not going to be able to do it, and just say, look, they are like Lib Dems do. A lot of respect for Lib Dems, because they actually came out and was like, no, fuck it, Article 50, this shit's dangerous. That's a totally legitimate stance. Do that. But the truth is, Labour are shit scared of losing their Leave voters. And they have a lot of Leave voters because they have a lot of poorer backgrounds that are affected mostly by the EU, or think that they're mostly affected by the EU, which is often one and the same. Anyway, so they've come out and they've said we want to stand for Remain in a second referendum. So just be honest and say that you think that if you run a referendum now, the votes will be different and you're going to stand for that side. But if it didn't go that way, let's say that we do the referendum again and it's the same fucking result, then what? What are you going to do? Are you gonna go, oh, well, we'll have another referendum? Or are you going to now have to turn around and say, oh, actually, guys, we actually don't really want to Remain. We're going to do the Remain thing. Just be honest and do what you fucking want to do. And don't... So I tweeted about this and someone said that the reason that they want a referendum is because Brexiteers will complain about invalidating democracy or whatever. But going for another referendum invalidates democracy. You're already doing it, so do it properly. I generally think anyone advocating for a referendum for any other reason than the fact that they didn't want to lose the last one are lying to themselves by saying anything about democracy or anything about people changing their minds or anything like that. They either think that the people who voted Leave have changed sides, and that now they've seen the better wisdom and they've seen that we were always right in the first place, which I think is insanely patronising and very arrogant, and probably the reason why we're in this position in the first place. Or they think that they can split the vote by changing the vote, because effectively you either rerun the referendum again, in which case you probably end up with the exact same fucking scenario, because it's at the end of the day it's not going to swing 75%, 25%, it's still going to be roughly down the middle, and it's still going to be roughly the same result, IMO. So the way you get around that is you change the vote. You make it the current deal on the table or Remain, and that's not fair either, because a lot of Brexiteers don't want the current deal. In fact, the vast majority of people don't want the current deal on the table. What it should be... Well, no, because the problem is Remain is one solid thing. Brexit isn't. Brexit's a lot of different things. If you split that into multiple things, let's say you go Remain, Brexit with a deal, or Brexit no deal, you just split the Brexit vote. And you know you're splitting the Brexit vote, and because you think that will better make you win. And it's so fucking dishonest. And I genuinely think that if you're a politician and you've stood for something in your mandate, in your manifesto, you've got an electorate mandate to go off and do Brexit, like the Labour Party did, like the Conservatives did. If the Conservatives now turned around and said, oh, actually, we're going to Remain, then you should step out of your seat and rerun the referendum. Do whatever, what's it called when they redo a seat, just like in one specific area. Labour should forfeit all of their seats by default because they're now changing to this Remain manifesto. They change their manifesto, they rerun in their seats in their constituencies, and then we do it again. You shouldn't be able to get votes saying you're going to do one thing and then get into Parliament and do another thing. That shouldn't be allowed in any way, shape or form. And the same thing applies to people who get votes under a party and then leave the party and go independent. You were voted in on a manifesto that you're no longer standing for, so get out or rerun the vote in your area. That's my general stance. I get so annoyed at people being like, we want another referendum because you think that you were smarter than the electorate that voted the other way. And I think you're being really fucking dishonest by saying that you don't think anything else when you're putting a different referendum in. If you think anything else has changed, then I think you're being really dishonest, and you should just turn around and say, I have no problem with and I know some people will do, and this is the problem, right? This isn't democracy. If the politicians turn around, and the cabinet, let's say, turn around and say, look, actually, guys, we're better off staying in. We're going to cancel all of this because of this. We know more about this than you do because of the positions we're in, because of the information we're privy to that you guys aren't. We're going to cancel it. The next general election will come in and then you're voted out, right? There will be a party that stands on Brexit and there will be a party that doesn't stand on Brexit, and then we can roll from there, you know? So do that. Also, it looks like they did deploy because it looks like one of the message buses is currently on fucking fire. So I'm just gonna turn that slack off. That's not my problem until tomorrow. Anyway, that's my little tirade. But yeah, that's just the thing that's been annoying me recently. Is just grow some balls as a politician. Grow some balls and say what it is you're actually going to do, and stop trying to get what you want through the back door, which is all a second referendum is. It's just trying to get what you want through the back door because you don't have the balls and the conviction to stand up and be like, no, actually, we think this. Because there'll be uproar. And if there's going to be uproar, then don't try and cheat it in, you know? Anyway, that's by the by. Laura's on the way home. I'm hunting for some shit. I need to figure out whether or not I need to Amazon something. And that means having to find the thing that I'm looking for or order it because we lost it in the house move. One of the two. My final point. When the next general election comes in, which for all intents it could be when the next Conservative leader comes in. It could be very soon. But more to the point, the previous one that we just had, after the referendum vote, what should have happened was the Conservatives stood on a manifesto of the deal that they were aiming for, which we'll assume is the deal that they've currently got. Brexit Party, which obviously didn't exist at the time, stands on the manifesto of no deal, or literally no deal. Labour stand on the manifesto of, well, whatever it is they want. That's the problem. No one knows what they want because they want to remain for all intents and purposes. But let's just say they stand on the manifesto of stay in the single market. Then the Lib Dems stand on the manifesto of cancel Article 50, revoke Article 50, or not. I can't remember what the time frame was for that Article 50 thing. It might have been pre-placing it. So just cancel it all in all. I don't know, can't remember. And then you get to properly evaluate all the parties against each other, figure out what they all want, figure out if you how highly you rate Brexit compared to their other key policies. And then you probably end up with a hung parliament that's hung three ways so that no one can get a majority and they have to team up and then everyone wins. Anyway, we go shopping. And it's bedtime, ladies and gentlemen. I've had my rambles, I've done my shopping. We've watched that Good Omens thing on Amazon Prime. It's fucking weird, man. But heading off to bed. I didn't really feel that tired, to be honest with you, but it's not been a productive evening apart from the jobs and stuff. So I'm going to bounce here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to call it a goddamn day. So thanks for watching. Also, Hashtag sack Tom Watson is trending on Twitter. the guy who kicked off that entire tirade earlier. So anyway, thanks for watching this video, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you enjoyed it. I will be back with more crazy fun times. You know, this is the home of crazy fun times. And subscribe to go enjoy more, you know? Catch you later.